Everyone knows Ronaldinho. The smile, the magic, the man who made millions fall in love with football. But before Ronaldinho became a legend, there was another boy in his family with the dream first. His name was Roberto Assis. And before Ronaldinho had millions of fans around the world, Assis was the person he looked up to most. But Assis' story would take a heartbreaking turn. Through tragedy, injury and sacrifice, the brother who was once supposed to become the family's football star would help create one of the greatest players football had ever seen. This is the story of Ronaldinho'S brother, the man who may have lost his own dream but helped his little brother become a legend. Ronaldinho and Assis grew up in Porto Alegre, Brazil, in a family where football was everywhere. Their father João had been a footballer, and young Ronaldinho admired his older brother more than anyone. Assis was 9 years older, and while Ronaldinho was still a small boy, his brother was already becoming a promising footballer. For Ronaldinho, Assis was proof that the impossible could become possible. Then Assis signed professionally for Grêmio, and football changed the family's life. The club provided the family with a much better home. After struggling financially, it finally seemed like their future was changing. But then came tragedy. In 1989, Ronaldinho's father died after suffering heart complications while in the swimming pool at their new home. Ronaldinho was only 8 years old. The boy who would one day become famous for his smile had lost his father. And Assis, still young himself, suddenly had a much bigger responsibility. Ronaldinho would later describe Assis as far more than just a brother. He became a guide, a protector and a father figure. But Assis still had his own dream. His football career was rising. He was talented, successful and considered one of the promising players of his generation. For a moment, it seemed Assis, not Ronaldinho, would become the great football star of the family. Then everything changed again. In 1991, Assis suffered a serious knee injury. He spent months away from football, and the injury damaged the momentum of a career that had looked so promising. The brother Ronaldinho had always looked up to was now fighting to save his own dream. But while Assis struggled, something extraordinary was happening. His little brother was becoming impossible to ignore. Ronaldinho had a talent unlike anything people had seen. And Assis saw it before the rest of the world did. Imagine what that must have felt like. A young footballer whose own career had been damaged, watching his younger brother begin the journey toward greatness. Assis could have become bitter. He could have focused only on what he had lost. Instead, he chose to help Ronaldinho. He guided him, protected him, used his experience to help him navigate the dangerous world of professional football. Eventually, Assis became Ronaldinho's manager and advisor, helping him through some of the biggest decisions of his career. Ronaldinho's journey took him from Grêmio to Paris Saint-Germain, then to Barcelona, where he became something even bigger than a football star. He became magic, the World Cup winner, the Ballon d'Or winner, the man who made the Santiago Bernabéu stand up and applaud a Barcelona player. Ronaldinho became one of the greatest footballers in history. But when he reached the top, he did not forget the person who had been there before the trophies, before Barcelona and before the world knew his name. Ronaldinho paid tribute to Assis, describing his brother as one of his idols and acknowledging how much he had helped throughout his journey. Think about that. The little brother who once watched Assis become the family's football hero had now become a global legend. And standing behind much of that journey was the same brother who had lost a father, suffered a devastating injury and watched his own football dream slowly disappear. Maybe Assis never became the legend Ronaldinho became. Maybe millions never wore his shirt. Maybe children never copied his skills in the streets. But without Assis, would Ronaldinho's story have been the same? We may never know. Because sometimes, the most important person in a success story isn't the person holding the trophy. Sometimes, it's the person who believed in you before anyone else did. The person who kept helping you while carrying their own pain. The person whose dream was damaged but who refused to let yours die too. Ronaldinho became a legend. But before the world knew Ronaldinho, there was Assis. The brother who dreamed first. The brother who suffered first. And perhaps, the brother who helped make the legend.